The TARDIS landed with a gentle thud, not its usual groan and shudder. Inside, a magnificent ginger cat stretched languidly on the console. This was no ordinary feline. He was a Time Lord, known to his friends simply as the Doctor. He wore a tiny, shimmering collar that blinked with soft lights, a small concession to his otherwise classic feline form. He looked over at his companions with an air of superior confidence. His purr was a low, rumbling sound that seemed to hold the secrets of the universe. He was clever, a bit fancy, and he knew it. He was ready for whatever the universe decided to throw at them today.
She adjusted her spectacles, her eyes alight with curiosity. Lyra loved science more than anything. She saw the universe as a giant, wonderful puzzle just waiting to be solved. Every new planet, every strange phenomenon, was a new experiment for her brilliant mind. She carried a sonic multi-tool, a device of her own making, that could analyze anything from alien alloys to the sugar content of a Roman fig. She was the practical mind of their little team, always ready to find a logical explanation.
Their other friend, Kit, was a girl from Earth with a heart full of poetry and wonder. While Lyra saw scientific formulas, Kit saw stanzas and stories. She had a notebook filled with verses about swirling nebulae and the songs of distant stars. She possessed a quiet, observant nature that often allowed her to notice details the others might miss in their haste. Kit approached every new world with wide-eyed awe, her spirit as open as the endless sky. She trusted the Ginger Doctor completely and found a kindred spirit in Lyra's passion for discovery, even if their methods were quite different.
The Doctor leapt gracefully from the console and padded to the TARDIS doors. With a soft meow, he indicated it was time to leave. Lyra pulled the heavy doors open, and the trio stepped out into the brilliant sunshine and bustling noise of ancient Rome. The air was thick with the smell of dust, olives, and baking bread. Before them, the Colosseum rose into the blue sky, a magnificent and imposing structure. Citizens in togas hurried along the stone-paved streets, their chatter filling the air. "Well," the Doctor communicated, his thoughts appearing in his friends' minds. "This looks promising. I do hope they have decent fish." Their exploration led them to a small market stall filled with theatrical masks. One mask in particular caught Kit's eye. It was a tragic face carved from dark wood, with hollow eyes that seemed to follow them. As they drew closer, a faint, hissing whisper seemed to come from it.
"Secrets lost in time," it seemed to say.
Kit shivered, not from cold, but from a strange sense of unease. She pointed it out to Lyra, who immediately pulled out her sonic multi-tool.
The device whirred and clicked, its lights flashing erratically as she scanned the object. The mask was clearly more than just a simple piece of wood. Lyra's tool confirmed Kit's feeling. "There's a low-level temporal energy field around this mask," she announced, her brow furrowed in concentration. "It's faint, but it's definitely there. It's almost like it's recording echoes of things that have happened nearby, but the playback is all jumbled up."
The Doctor, meanwhile, was sniffing the base of the stall, his tail twitching with irritation. He disliked temporal disturbances he didn't create himself. They were messy and unpredictable. This mask was at the center of a riddle, and he was determined to be the one to solve it, preferably before his afternoon nap. Their attention was soon pulled away by a commotion nearby. A group of gladiators were arguing loudly with their trainer.
"It happened again," one of them shouted, his voice filled with frustration. "One moment, we were in the middle of a practice swing, and the next, we were standing here 5 minutes later with no memory of what happened."
The other gladiators nodded in agreement, their faces a mixture of confusion and fear. They were losing small chunks of time, their movements becoming disjointed and their memories full of holes. This was a serious problem for men whose lives depended on perfect timing. The Doctor's ears perked up. Lost time? Whispering masks? This was far more interesting than hunting for Roman sardines. He padded closer to the gladiators, his green eyes scanning them intently. Lyra followed, her scientific mind already forming theories. Could the temporal energy from the mask be affecting them? Was it stealing their moments?
Kit watched the troubled faces of the strong men and felt a pang of sympathy. She knew this was more than a simple curiosity. It was a real problem affecting real people, and it was up to them to figure it out.
As they pondered the mystery of the gladiators, the Doctor's sensitive nose picked up a delightful and very strange scent. It was sweet, cold, and utterly out of place in ancient Rome. He followed the aroma to a small, colourful cart pushed by a cheerful man in a slightly too modern-looking toga. A sign on the cart read, Gaius's Galactic Gelato. The flavours listed were certainly not Roman. They included Venusian Volcano Sorbet, Milky Way Ripple, and Meteor Mint Chip. The trio exchanged bewildered glances. This was definitely not part of the standard historical tour.
Lyra, ever the scientist, immediately began scanning the gelato with her multi-tool. "The energy signature is off the charts," she whispered excitedly. "These ingredients aren't from Earth. The milk in this ripple has proteins native to a bovine species from Cygnus X1.
The gelato seller, Gaius, just smiled warmly. "A scoop for the curious travelers?" he offered, seemingly unfazed by their strange device. He had a twinkle in his eye that suggested he knew far more than he was letting on.
The doctor, never one to refuse a treat, telepathically requested a small taste of the Venusian Volcano Sorbet.
Kit, guided by her poetic intuition, focused on the man himself. Gaius was friendly, but there was a subtle sadness in his eyes. He seemed lonely. She watched as he served his otherworldly ice cream to the Romans, who ate it with gusto, completely unaware of its cosmic origins. She wondered what his story was. Why was he here, so far from the worlds his ingredients came from? She felt a connection to his displacement, a feeling of being a visitor in a strange land, even if her own travels were by choice.
While Lyra cross-referenced alien milk proteins, and the doctor savoured the spicy sweet sorbet, they noticed something odd. Every time Gaius served a scoop using his peculiar glowing gelato scoop, the air around him shimmered for a split second. It was the same kind of shimmer they had seen around the whispering mask. The doctor's tail stopped twitching and stood straight up. He looked from the gelato scoop to the confused gladiators, to the mysterious mask. The pieces of the Roman riddle were finally starting to click into place in his brilliant feline mind. The doctor confidently trotted back to the mask stall, his companions close behind. He looked at the gelato seller, then at the mask, and sent a clear thought to his friends. The scoop is the problem. The mask is just the amplifier.
Lyra's eyes widened in understanding. Of course! The scoop is a temporal tool, siphoning off tiny moments of time to power the freezer unit that keeps the gelato cold. It's leaking energy, and the mask, with its residual temporal field, is broadcasting the stolen moments as whispers.
It was a clever, if slightly irresponsible, bit of alien technology.
Kit approached Gaius gently. "You're from another world, aren't you?" she asked softly.
The gelato seller's smile faltered, and he nodded sadly. "My ship crashed here years ago. The scoop is all I have left that works. I didn't know it was causing any harm. I just wanted to share a little taste of home." He explained that the scoop was designed to draw minuscule, unnoticed moments from the ambient timeline to generate the cold temperatures needed for his gelato. He never imagined it would affect people so directly.
The doctor, ever the pragmatist, nudged Lyra's hand. Working together, Lyra used her sonic multi-tool to recalibrate the temporal scoop. She couldn't fix Gaius's ship, but she could adjust the scoop's energy intake, tuning it to draw power from the background radiation of the sun instead of the personal timelines of the people around it. The shimmering stopped. The whispers from the mask faded into silence. The gladiators, practicing nearby, suddenly moved with renewed grace and precision. Their lost moments returned to them. The temporal leak was sealed. With the riddle solved, Gaius thanked them profusely, offering them a lifetime supply of Meteor Mint Chip. The doctor politely declined, though he did accept one more small scoop of the Venusian sorbet for the road. As the sun began to set behind the Colosseum, casting long shadows across the ancient city, the trio walked back to their TARDIS. They had solved the mystery, helped a lost traveler, and restored balance. Kit wrote a new poem in her notebook about the sad man who sold Starlight ice cream. Lyra jotted down notes on temporal mechanics, and the ginger cat doctor purred, content. Another adventure awaited.